And I'm just also going to hide my big head there. But all right, guys. So a bit about myself quickly is I'm a dietitian here in Australia. I had a business where we employed up to 10 dietitians. And so meal plans did form part of our practice. So today is really just about talking about meal plans and how you can utilize them in your practice and how they really helped our practice. And then I'm going to give a demo of MEALZEE. So MEALZEE is the solution that we've built. So we sold our business over a year ago, and we've built this meal planning solution that I sort of wish that we did have around when we did have our business. So a lot of this I'm talking from my own personal experience and from other dietitians that I've spoken to. So, some of you may not relate to some of this, but some of you will, and it certainly reflects the experience that I've had. So as a health professional, we're probably not great business people. We get in it to help people. We get into this profession to be helpful and really improve people's lives rather than make lots of money. Money is great, don't get me wrong, but it typically isn't most health professionals' driving force right at the start. And so, I was working insane hours initially, and quite often not charging enough. And so my wife, I was really lucky, she's our business manager. And we were really struggling. I was sort of working long hours, and I've got a young family, and it was coming at a cost. And she basically pulled me aside and said, look, if we don't survive as a business, you can't help anyone anyway. And so I had to have a bit of a mindset shift to really try and think about the money side of being a dietitian, as well as, how do I help people the most? And so we really needed to increase our profits. Now, this is not a full business webinar, or anything like that. It's just my experience through it. But we identified that, we needed to increase profits. Now, you can do that through increasing price, but if you're doing that, you've really got to add value to the client. You can't just jack up the price. We did over time have short increases in price, and no one batted an eyelid. I'd lose sleep the night before, and no one would even mention it. But that's my own issue that I had to deal with. But if you're doing a decent increase in price, I'm a big believer that you've got to add plenty of value for that. You can decrease costs, but I think most people as business owners tend to be pretty conservative with their money anyway. And so our costs, we were running on a fairly slim budget as it was. Hi Carolina, how you going? Carolina, if I got that right. And so so decreasing costs was the other thing, but the big thing was increasing sales. So it was really about how do we increase sales in the business, so that we could be sustainable ongoing. And so we could increase sales by acquiring new customers. And here in Australia, we get care plans from doctors. So they will send out chronic disease care plans. And so we had a decent stream of these coming through. So we had new customers coming through, but the care plans aren't that lucrative in Australia. we don't get paid a lot from the government for the time that we sort of provide. So they were kind of like our loss leader. And so what we focused on was the retention of those clients. So they come to us through the doctor, through the GP, but it was also then about, well, how do we help these people long term? The care plans don't cater to that. It's about them making them a private paying customer. And so that retention become paramount. And so there's a lot of evidence around that. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the research, but this was a Harvard Review study that shows, like just a small increase in retention of those clients that you've already got can see a pretty decent return on your investment from those existing clients. But the big thing is these also become your referrers. So these guys, if you can make the clients that are coming through happy and meet their expectations, then they're going to talk and they talk to their friends, and that's where a lot of our business come from. And so this was the conflict for me was, well, I'm trying to encourage these people to stay on. It feels like I'm just trying to make money out of them. But, I knew deep down that the longer that a client was seeing me, the more I could support and help them. And our clinical practice guidelines for overweight and obesity here in Australia actually reflect that in the evidence. And it's, pretty intensive follow-up with someone. We need to be following them up for a decent amount of time. And so it wasn't just the money side of it. This is how I knew I was actually going to get the best results for my clients, but it was how did I engage these clients? And so dietitians, I think, are in a pretty challenging situation in that clients don't have a physical reminder to come back and see us. They've seen us and, we might give them information, some resources, but they don't necessarily have that physical ailment a lot of the time. Whereas a physio or podiatrist, there's something physically reminding them, oh, yes, I need to go back to physio. But for dietitians, we don't quite have that. And quite often there's also a bit of, and I think as dietitians, we're getting better at this. I certainly have never made anyone feel guilty, and all the dietitians that I've known, but clients, I think, have like an inherent, there's some guilt around food. And if they're seeing a dietitian and they haven't stuck to their diet, which, I never do either, it's not that easy to do, then they potentially will avoid coming back. And so we sort of set about providing a service that people couldn't do themselves. Okay, yes, they've come to see a dietitian. Yes, we've given them some resources, but what are the things that we can do that, one, we want to know that are going to be clinically relevant, that could actually help us, achieve these outcomes for the client, but also what is it something that they can't do themselves? Because, as you know, everything's available on the internet these days. And so the big thing I wanted to know was, one, about body composition. And so there were certain clients that I didn't show the results to for this, but for me, I wanted to know about any changes in muscle mass. So we use the in-body scanners. The clients that I was confident, they were happy to see that. They love these devices. We also adopted intercalorimeters, so we would measure metabolic rate, resting metabolic rate, and that really helped for a lot of clients. And we didn't do this for everyone, but it was a service we offered that they couldn't, get at home. And then the big thing that is really should be dietitians' strength is creating tailored, customized meal plans. So as I was saying, we never had MEALZEE when we had our business. It's something that was sort of built over the last 12 months, but we did provide meal plans. We had 108 different meal plans, and there are different levels and different varieties, and they were generic in nature, but they, you could at least sort of, they were so varied that there was at least a meal plan out there that was close to someone's needs. And with these three products, we were able to provide a service that our clients couldn't just do themselves. And we've seen significant growth in our business as a result of that. Now, this is not me promoting how good our business is. We made heaps of mistakes. I'm not the best business person in the world, but it was pretty clear from the moment we come to this realization, we saw pretty significant growth. So we, from the end of 2016 to the start of 2021, we went from essentially one dietitian up to a staff of 18. We end up having. And so that was a lot of, that return customers coming in, and it was about meeting our clients' expectations. And so with the meal plans, most clients wanted a meal plan. They'd come to us and they kind of just expect that they want a meal plan. And the problem is they dump that on you in the last 5 minutes, or where's my meal plan? But they don't realize just how much effort actually has to go into a meal plan to make it tailored to them. Now, we've actually done a bit of research around this. Now, this is only a small cohort. It won't be getting published in any journals, but we surveyed 25 people just about what they would expect when they come to see a dietitian, a personal trainer, nutritionist, naturopath. Every single one of those 25 people, again, not a massive cohort, expected to receive a meal plan. They just thought that, yeah, that's part of the service. I'll walk away with a meal plan. Now, 89%, so there's only 3 out of those 25 didn't need it to be customized. The rest actually expected that it would be a customized meal plan as well. Now, for anyone that's created a meal plan, which I'm guessing is many of you, like, it takes a lot to actually sit and create a customized meal plan. It takes a number of hours. And so the other thing was they were willing to pay, and this is Australian dollars, but they're willing to pay anywhere from $10 was the lower end. Someone was willing to pay as high as $500, but the average is around that sort of $90, $50 to $100, and it averaged out at $90. So, that they are willing to pay for that service of an extra meal plan. And so the problem with them doing that is that isn't enough to actually make the option of creating a customized meal plan viable. Because if you've got an hourly rate, so I think of my hourly rate as $160, because that would be my chargeable, my billable rate when I was seeing clients, then 1 to 2 hours, we're talking $160 to $320 an hour, is $320 if it took me 2 hours to create a meal plan. So even if they were willing to pay $90 or $100, I was still essentially losing money, and it wasn't a viable option for us. Now, for anyone that's creating meal plans, you know why it takes too long. There's so many different elements that come into it when you have to create a meal plan. You know, there's all these things and considerations you need to think about. And I describe it as like building a house of cards. You put one recipe in there or pull one recipe out, and it just messes up all the nutrition information. And so this is, why we set out and built MEALZEE. Now, I've had this conversation with a few people about why meal plans are useful. Obviously, I've built MEALZEE and I am promoting this, quite a lot. I'm obviously an advocate of meal plans, and I'm an advocate of meal plans long before I built MEALZEE. But I don't think meal plans are the silver bullet. It's not that, this is the missing ingredient that's going to solve everyone's problem. But it's a tool that I think dietitians and nutritionists should be doing, but we're not doing because the available tools or software hasn't been there to make it viable. And so I actually see a meal plan as an extension of my consult. There's no way that I create a meal plan and that I've got this expectation that someone's going to go and follow it, perfectly. But they do have to absorb quite a bit of information in an appointment when you're seeing someone in a consult. There's so many things going through a client's mind. And for anyone familiar with the cone of learning, you'll know that you don't remember much of what you just hear. So it's more about what you hear and see. And if you can actually hear, see, and then put that into practice, you're more likely to take on some of that information. So this is where a meal plan is helpful, because it's like an instruction manual to sort of implement some of that information that was discussed in the consult. And so, yes, they're not going to get it right, but this is just one element as part of all the tools that you're trying to give someone that can help guide them to really make the changes to improve their health. So it's not a silver bullet, but it's something that I think, as dietitians, we should be doing, particularly now that there's a resource such as MEALZEE. Yes, obvious self-promotion, but it's a tool that we've created that you can actually do it quite easily with. Now, idea is to actually generate revenue from it. So this is for in Australia. We have a billing item for Department of Veteran Affairs, the DVA, which you can actually bill $94.90 to create a meal plan. Now, again, previously, if this was taking you, like if you were using traditional methods and you were using like FoodWorks to try and put something together, then it would have been hard to make that viable. So yes, $94 is better than nothing, but it still wasn't necessarily a viable option until you've got something like MEALZEE. So that's one option, obviously, if you're seeing DVA clients. There's levels of service that you could do. So, you could offer different prices for someone to come and see you. So you could have a consult without a meal plan. You could do a consult with a generic meal plan, and then you could offer that sort of upper level of a tailored individual meal plan. And it doesn't have to be much, but it's something that you could add for your clients. We actually built in memberships into our billing, which was really, really successful. So this was about trying to encourage people to stay engaged in the service. I'm just letting a few guys in. Hi, Catherine, how are you? So this is about trying to keep people engaged. And so we developed these levels of membership. And again, sort of going back to what I was talking about, it was really hard for me as a dietitian to manage the conflict between, well, is this just trying to extract money from clients, or is it actually trying to improve their health? And it is one and the same. So again, linking back to those overweight and obesity guidelines about intensive follow-up, fortnightly follow-up for the first 3 months, and then regular intervals after. A membership is quite useful for that because it does keep them engaged, and meal plans formed a part of that for us. So we would have different levels of membership, but basically what they would receive was either a generic or a customized meal plan. Obviously, the price point was different because back then we didn't have MEALZEE and it took a lot longer. But it was a really successful strategy for us to keep clients engaged, and the results were phenomenal. We also did like a review of our long-term weight loss results for the clients that were part of that program, and it was quite good. We got great results for the clients that, as you'd expect, they stayed engaged. Now, we also work with a lot of gyms. So we had gyms that would come to us for meal plans. So for Catherine and Bonnie, who you might have missed the start, we never had MEALZEE when we had our practice. So we actually developed a new meal plan every month, and we end up having 108 meal plans. They're all generic in nature, but because there were so many, there was a various range that you could sort of push towards someone's needs. And we partnered with a lot of personal trainers and gyms to provide those, and we rebrand them. So, now with a product like MEALZEE, you can do that so quick, and it's a real revenue model for, if you've got good relationships with any gyms or personal trainers in your area. And then lastly, of course, is the NDIS. So the NDIS, as part of if you look at their guidelines and what they will fund a dietitian to create a meal plan for the clients that may need that. And so, there's a heap of opportunities now, and there are opportunities that were not viable when it would take an hour or more to create a meal plan. But now with MEALZEE, where you can create it in 5 or 10 minutes, these are real viable options, because essentially in these businesses, time is money. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to end this share, and I'm going to give you a demo of MEALZEE. Now, feel free to unmute yourself, and if you have any questions along the way, go for it. You can just ask away. I'm hoping, can you guys give me a thumbs up? Can you see it normally has a green ring around it, but does that have the MEALZEE page up for you? If anyone can just unmute themselves and tell me if it is, or if I can get a thumbs up from you possibly.
Yes, it's visible.
Awesome, thanks, guys. Yeah, it normally has a green ring around it, but it's not there at the moment. Okay, so this is MEALZEE. You can create a free account. It doesn't cost anything to create an account. The only thing that costs for is to download the actual meal plans. So this is what a dietitian login looks like. Now, I'm not going to talk about it in depth today, but you can add your own recipes and you'll earn revenue. So the way MEALZEE works is that it's like a double-sided marketplace, we call it. So you add your recipes, and every time your recipe is selected in a meal plan, you'll earn revenue from it. So that's a whole nother webinar I'm not going to go into today, but I do have in our Facebook group, I'll be doing that on tomorrow, Friday. So yeah, you can add your own recipes. The biggest thing is that all of the products, all the documents that you give your clients are white labeled. So there's no reference to MEALZEE. So you would upload your logo here. You would upload your hex code. And if you don't know what your hex code is for your logo, there's a heap of websites, but I think one of them is called imagecolor.com. Upload your logo, click on different parts of your logo, and it will highlight what the hex code is. So the hex code is specific to a color. So every color has its own hex code. And so you just put that in there with the pound symbol, and then again, you'll have your colored branding over everything. We have a marketplace. Now this is, you'll notice everything I've created in MEALZEE is about trying to save time, because I'm conscious that time is money and you really need to be able to do this as quick as possible. And so we've got a heap of meal plans that are already created that you can come and access. So you might be looking for a high protein meal plan. So you just sort it, and this will give you all the high protein meal plans. So I think we've only got 58 or something there now, but we're going to set it up where every time a dietitian creates a meal plan, it will go there automatically, and you would have to opt out if you didn't want one particular meal plan there. And if what we do is, if you are adding a meal plan to the marketplace, that you just de-identify it. So if you're creating a meal plan for John Brown, don't call it John Brown, call it high protein, whatever. Okay, low FODMAP, something. So yeah, you can click on these. Now, if I look at this one here, for example, where it will tell you the tags that have been added. We are going to add an image there, so you can see an image of what the meal plan layout is, and then you just copy that over to your profile. Now, all of this is free, guys. It doesn't cost you anything to move the meal plans into your profile. So you'll see it there. Now, I can then go and change the name of this. I can still change the meal plan, so I can go and rename it there. I can change out all the meals and do whatever I want with it. But what I download and give to my clients would have my branding and logo and everything on it. So that would be the same for yourself. In your profile, so the profile is where you can switch between kilojoules and calories. Okay, you can do that as often as you want. You can add your social media handles and your website. Now, the purpose of that is when you download a meal plan, there's a little Facebook icon, Instagram, and website icon, and that will hyperlink them. So if someone clicks on it, they'll be able to open up your social media handles. And also, we're adding a calendar icon, so they'll be able to, you can put a booking link in, and you could use it as a potential lead magnet where they could click on that icon, and that will open up a booking link where they can book an appointment with you as well. The subscriptions we have, so we have 3 levels. These are weekly subscriptions. So you can pay $9 a week. That gets you 1 download credit and the ability to create 20 meal plans. So what that means is you can create and store 20 meal plans. You only get charged when you download that meal plan. So that's what the low volume plan offers. The medium volume is 4 download credits and you can store 100 meal plans. And for $29 a week, you just do unlimited. You can download as many meal plans as you want and store as many as you like as well. You can add your own foods. I won't go into this in depth, but we're trying to keep as many commercial products out of this as we can. There's a few that we've sort of added in there because they might have a particular nutritional benefit and they're unique in nature, but otherwise they're all commercial foods. But if you want a food added, you add it and we review it and then we'll publish it. And that's the same with the recipes. You add the recipe, we review it and publish it. Okay, and then to create a meal plan, I'll just go through that now for you. If you're not using one from the marketplace, you just add new, and I'll just call this test. And now from here, you've got to use the energy calculator next, okay? Because the software needs to know how many calories to create for this meal plan and then find the recipes that fit those calories. So I'll just put in a bait client here. Might be a male that wants to lose weight. Might be 180 centimeters tall, 120 kilos, and they might be active. Now, as soon as you put in the physical activity level, it will give you a description underneath. We are using the Mifflin-St. Jeor validated predictive equation, and then you hit continue. Now, this is where it will give you the recommended energy amount. So this is for the weight loss side of that equation. But if I was to look how much to maintain weight, then it would be around 2,600 calories or 11,000 kilojoules. So if I swap that back to lose weight, then it adjusts. Now, you can override this. So as dietitians, your clinical judgment might say, no, I want more or less. I'm just going to put 1,800 in there just for the sake of this at the moment. So if I go, you can pick how many snacks. I'm just going to say 0 snacks, breakfast, lunch, dinner, just to keep it simple. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to create a meal plan that's around 1,800 calories every day. And it's going to divide that into 3 meals. So essentially there'll be breakfast at around 600 calories, lunches at around 600, and dinner that's around 600. So I just hit update there. Now, the reason I've told you that is it's quite useful to know how the algorithm's working, because when you're trying to edit the meal plan, you can search for extra recipes that are just outside that calorie range. Now, these serving boxes down the side, you can adjust. Okay, so I've got 4 kids and my wife, so I need all of the recipes to have 6 serves for dinner because we eat as a family. Lunch I tend to fend for myself, but breakfast it might be my wife and I. Okay, so I'll do 2. The next step is to add the meal tags. So, this is lifestyle tags, if you like. Are they vegan or pescatarian, or do they want simple recipes, which essentially means not a lot of ingredients and not a lot of steps. Then we go nutrition tags. So these are more specific to a nutrition outcome. So I might go high protein, and then excluded ingredients are for any allergies or intolerances or just dislikes. With this part here, you just got to remember that you're talking to a computer. So if I was to type in nuts here, it won't exclude cashews because the word nuts is not in cashews. So in that instance, I'd have to go into the nutrition tags and I would then add nut-free, and that would get rid of cashews and walnuts and walnuts. Now, with these meal tags and nutrition tags, we've got a limit of 2 each for these at the moment. We've got 1,300 published recipes, another 1,000 that are in the pending status, and we've just created a feature that's going to speed up the approvals of adding recipes. So pretty quickly that will grow. But for the moment, there's 1,300 published recipes. Now, we had to limit how many tags we've added because the more tags you add, the narrower the recipes become. And I'll show you that in a moment. So once you've done that, you then hit auto generate, and that will spin up a plan for you. Now, there's a plan that's meets all that criteria. If, for example, I wanted to give someone a plan where they just have a heap of different options, now it might last them weeks to months, this meal plan. They really just wanted options at breakfast, lunch, and dinner that, within their calorie range, then that meal plan might be suitable. But if I wanted to edit it and actually be something that they could, vaguely stick to, then I want to move a few things around. And so how you do that is you can drag and drop. So as long as there's more than one serve there, you can drag a recipe across. So I've dragged that salmon and sweet potato dish. It's moved over there. So I've gone from 6 serves there over to 1 serve there. Whenever you drag and drop, there's a little MP box that appears, and that stands for meal prep. So if I tick that box, it's going to move the serve back to the night before. And the purpose of that is to reflect that it's actually this meal where it has to be prepared. It's not going to be prepared at lunch, it's prepared the night before. So that recipe card has to have that serve on it. And this recipe card has 0 ingredients, so there's no ingredients added to the shopping list. Whereas this one will have the 6 on there. It's got all the ingredients for the 6 serves. Now, in the instance, for example, where you just want to drag a meal around for ease of editing, you just drag and drop. But if you're going to prepare it fresh every day, you just leave the MP box unchecked. And that's how you can move things around. If you want to then go and search for more recipes, you can just delete it and go and find a meal. And here you can see how many recipes are available. So if I just hit load more, okay, so I've got 46 recipes that are simple and high protein and within that calorie range. Okay, so they're within that 600 calorie range, plus or minus 15%. Now, if I want to go outside that calorie range, okay, let's say it's not showing me enough recipes, I just hit the show all. And that then is going to broaden that. And I've now got, what do we go up to? 146 recipes. So it's really expanded that. Now you can see what happens here when I add more tags. So even though you can only use 2 tags in the nutrition tags at the top, you can add more down here. So I've gone from 146 down to 42. So this is recipes that are both high protein, simple, and low carb. If I go low GI, I'm now down to 22, and if I go low sodium, I'm now down to 10. So you can see what happens the more filters that we add. When we get more and more recipes in there, this won't matter as much, but it does narrow the recipes that will equal all of that criteria. And then you can just add it. So you just hit select, and that adds to your plan. Now we've got a lock and unlock feature. So whenever you drag or drop or edit, these recipes will unlock. But the rest of the time they will be locked, so they'll be locked automatically. Now, the purpose of this is for ease of editing as well. So, for example, let's say I'm looking at the macros, and we can't feed macros in yet, but we can manipulate them. But we will add the feature to feed macros in once we add more recipes as well. But in this instance, let's say I wanted to increase that protein, and as a result, I have to lower the fat. So I'll pick on the days, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I'm just going to do Wednesday and Thursday for the sake of this. I'm just going to unlock those recipes. And then I'm coming up here and I'm going to add the low fat tag. And then I'm going to hit auto generate. And it's only going to replace the meals that are unlocked. So it's just going to replace Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday. And then we've gone from 50% fat down to 41%. Now, I could go further by attacking those days as well, but I'm just quickly showing you that lock feature. You can also use it to change. So if you're working with athletes, for example, that have rest days, you might go in here and change it to, I'm just using these numbers, but let's say 1,500 calories, and then I auto generate. And because every other meal is locked, just Sunday will be replaced. And then you'll see that I'm pretty close to 1,500 calories on Sunday compared to the other days. So yeah, you can manipulate the plan, you play with it, it'll get you to where you want. Now from there, once you're happy with the plan, you can download the shopping list. Actually, there's one other feature I should show. If you wanted to hide the nutrition panel, So if you don't want your clients to see anything about calories or any nutrition information, you just toggle that off, and then the meal plan and the recipe cards will hide the nutrition panel. But you can just turn that back on for the clients if you're happy to see it. Now the shopping list, you just click that. Now we built it this way because by the end of this year there'll be a portal where you'll send clients to. Okay, so they'll be able to go in and access their meal plan and everything, and they can edit their meal plan, their shopping list in there. So they might already have some of these ingredients in the fridge or in the pantry or cupboard, so they can go and delete some of these items and then download the shopping list. And so the shopping list looks like this. So we'll have your logo there, we'll have your brand color, and it's all categorized. You would then from there download the recipe card. So this will then go, I'm not going to do this because it takes about a minute, but it downloads a zip file and has all the different recipe cards branded with your logo and brand color. But the big one is the meal plan. So this is where it uses your credit. Okay, so once you're happy with it, you confirm it, you download it. And then the meal plan will look like this. Now, these are the icons I was talking about that are hyperlinked. So if I was to click on that, we'll open up my website. That would be your website, obviously. All of these recipes are hyperlinked as well. So I can click on that recipe and that will open up or download the recipe card for that item. So potentially you don't need to send them the zip file with all the recipes. You could just send them the meal plan and they could access them. The recipe card that your clients see have no reference to the dietitian that created it. They just see this information here. Whereas what you will see is if you click on a recipe card, you will see the dietitian that created it. You can report a recipe. So if there's something that, doesn't seem right, you can report it and submit that. You can rate the recipe. You can, put a comment, but your client can't see all of that information. And that's pretty much it, guys. I know I've talked at a million miles an hour, but there's a bit to get through and I'm conscious of time. We do also have a little help icon here where you can, click that and it will sort of step you through the different elements as well. But that is it. Do you guys have any questions from that? No?
I would like to ask, when you were creating the meal plan, you had an option to choose snacks and you chose 0, but is it possible to choose 2 snacks in between the big meals for every day constantly?
Absolutely, yes. The reason I did that was just for round numbers for the maths. So for example, let's go, let's say 2,000 calories, and I'm going to say 2 snacks. I'll hit update. Now, something that's worth noting here, this is a good one to show you as well, is because I've added a new, well, actually I could hit auto generate and it will leave all those meals untouched actually. So, but let's say you've created a meal plan and you forgot to do something, you can unlock every single recipe and auto generate again, and it will just create a whole new meal plan for you. So the reason I say that is sometimes people have forgot to put in the nutrition tag and they say, well, I'm putting the nutrition tag, but it's not showing me, low carb recipes, for example, and it's because they haven't unlocked before they auto generate. And that's only in the instance where you need to, if you've forgotten something and need to auto generate again. In this instance, I'm hitting auto generate. It won't touch any of the main meals. It's just going to put in a heap of snacks there for me. And so it just looks like that. Does that answer your question okay, Tanya?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can adjust that. The other thing that you can do is, you can delete. You might have days where they don't have snacks. So you can just leave them blank. You can change meal patterns around. Yeah, there's a bit that you can do. And if you really wanted to get technical, you can do that and then adjust the calories on those days. You know, so if you wanted someone that was doing some time restricted eating, for example, but you needed them to get higher calories on those days, then you would just unlock those days, delete like change the meal pattern for that day, change the calories for that day, and then it'll generate, it'll have 2 higher calorie options, for example, for lunch and dinner. All right. Any other questions around that? Nope. Okay, all good. If you're interested, you can go to, I can send you the link. I might put it into the chat actually. Let me, just if you're interested to have a play with Tanya. Bear with me 1 second. So in the chat is the link to, you can sign up for MEALZEE, so you can, it's free to create that account. You don't need to do anything, and that'll give you a good play with it. You actually don't need the subscription until you want to download any of the recipe access the recipes or download a meal plan. So if you save that link, it'll allow you to create the account. And so with yourself, if you just add your registration number from Slovenia, if you've got it, we're 4 dietitians that will log in. I'm just going to verify that it's the dietitian that's created it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you don't have any other questions, I might close it down there. Tanya, is that all right?
I would just like to ask, yeah, you can stop recording. Is that what you said? No, sorry.
Oh no, just if you have any other questions.
Yeah, I was just the window when you showed the prices for the weeks, it was very fast, so I didn't see. I saw the 9 for the week, and then on it was.
All right. Hang on. So this here, can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's $9, $19, or $29.
This is all for 1 week, or? Yeah,
it's weekly. So the $9 gets you 1 download credit, but you can create 20 meal plans. So you'll be able to store 20 meal plans in your account. The 19 gives you 4 download credits, and you can store 100 meal plans in your account. And then the 29 is unlimited. You can create as many meal plans as you want and store as many as you like.
What does it stand for, the credit? Not the meal plans, but the number of credits. Yeah,
so the credit, so up there, if you can see up in that top right hand corner, I'm on the unlimited plan. So that means, so for example, if you're on the weekly plan, that might say 1 credit. So you use that credit whenever you download a meal plan. Okay, so if I was to hit confirm download now, that's when it uses the credit. Whereas the meal plan part of it is over here. So if you're on that $9 plan, you could only have 20 meal plans that you've created. So you would only be able to have 20 meal plans in storage, but it's the credit that gets used when you download. Does that make sense?
Yes, per week.
Per week, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and so you'll have your invoices and all your accounts through there as well. All right, any other questions?
No, that would be all.
Okay, awesome. Oh, well, lovely to chat to you. Have a good sleep. I imagine you're going back to bed.
Yes.